This is a bolete that can't make up its mind about who its family is. Some people call it Lysinum longicurvipes. Some people call it Boletus longicurvipes. That's for the scientists to argue out. We're going to call it Boletus longicurvipes today. It's a bolete, but it's in the genus Lysinum now. So I want to go through the genera, just so you have a basic idea of how the fleshy pored fungi that we call boletes are organized. The first thing I want to tell you is that if you find a bolete and it's under a conifer tree and it has usually a slippery cap, kind of a greasy cap, and little glandular dots on the stipe. Little tiny glandular dots, if you look with a hand lens, you have a swillus. There's about 3 ways to tell if you have a swillus. Swillus are mostly yellow. If your bolete has a yellow cap, a yellow stem, and yellow pores, any 2 of those 3, and it's a little bit greasy on top, it's probably a swillus. And then you want to always have some kind of magnifier. I buy these for $1.50 for my museum kids because they lose them and they break them. But it still works. And so if you look, you'll see these little dots. So this is the genus Swillus. Under a conifer, slippery cap, glandular dots on the stipe. And then there's another whole section of Swillus that actually has a dry, furry cap, and it has a ring. That's like the painted Swillus, Swillus pictus or Swillus spraguei. The little glandular dots on the stem of this Swillus are made of a chemical, a group of chemicals that's exactly the same as the group of chemicals that's right under the fluffy, scaly skin, the Swillus pictus. So that's what unites these. These are conifer boletes. And they're all very closely related, and they're not related to the other boletes. They're really not at all close to the other boletes. That's another whole story. So this is the genus Swillus.
But it doesn't have yellow.
That's not yellow. It doesn't have to be yellow.
Oh.
Those are
But
all
if
edible
it's
too?
yellow, okay.
They are not all edible. Some of them are edible. Some of them, if you don't take the slime layer off the cap or take the tubes off, will give you gastrointestinal upset. We all know what that means, right? Gastrointestinal. So there's another genera, another genus, Tylopolis, and there's lots of them in the park today. These beautiful violet stem Tylopolis today that you want them to be edible. You pray that they're edible. You pretend that they're edible. You boil them 25 times and throw the water out trying to make them edible. They're not edible. They're bitter. They're really bitter. Tylopolis is characterized by a pore surface that starts out very light white or cream colored, with a couple of exceptions. And then if you scratch it, it stains either brown or reddish brown or flesh colored. They call it incarnate. That's one of the main distinguishing characteristics of the genus Tylopolis. Sometimes it has a little bit of a reticulation. And a matter of fact, the type species, the model for all Tylopolis is Tylopolis phelleus, and that's extremely reticulate, has that net-like pattern. And I don't see phelleus right now because we have such a huge, beautiful collection that everything got buried and confused. But bitter, stains blue. It's not staining at all right now. Some of them are not bitter, but here's a whole beautiful collection of Tylopolis that we don't see that often. Tylopolis indecisus. This is one of the sweet Tylopolis you can eat. Grows under oak and birch. It has a fine reticulation at the stipe, at the apex of the stipe. Tylopolis veribruneus, another Tylopolis. This one has a prominent reticulation on the stipe. Over here we have, I'm not exactly certain, but I think this is Tylopolis batius. It's a sweet tasting bolete. It's in the genus Tylopolis. The pore surface will stain brown, but this is a good edible. So Swillus, Talopolis, two genera that are fairly easy to identify with some macro characters. And then we get into things that are sort of on the fence. This one, this beautiful Talopolis chromapes, the golden foot, some people call it a Talopolis, some people call it a Lysinum. If you look at the stalk, it has little fascicles of what looks like little clumps of burnt hair. Like if there was little patches of burnt hair and then you took a lighter and you burned them all. That's kind of the way it looks when you look under a lens. So when we talk to regular people, like we're all regular people, we say that Lysinums have little scabers. We call it the scaber stalk. If you talk to a mycologist, he'll say it has fascicles of encrusted chylocystidea. No one is going to remember that. You don't even want to know what that means. They're scabers. They're little scabers. So this is either a scaber stalk or a Talopolis. A Talopolis because the pore surface is going to stain reddish brown. A scaber stalk because it has those little scabers. So let's see. We have real scaber stalks here. Here's one. Lysinum holopus. Or is this a bellum? I forget the two. But if you look at this one with your hand lens, little dots that look like burnt hairs. Another genus, Lysinum. Over here, so if it's not a Talopolis, and it's not a Swillus, and it's not a Lysinum, those are easy to understand. If it doesn't fit there, then it's a Boletus. Boletus is like the dustbin of the bolete tribe. So anything that's not exactly fit in one of the well-described genus is Boletus, and Boletus ranges all over the place. From these spectacular Boletus edulus, I don't know who found this. Who found this Boletus edulus? Doug? Hey Doug, did you find this edulus?
No, I don't think so. I wouldn't have left the journal.
So this is the mushroom that people want from all over the world. People run around in Europe. People love that mushroom. It's sold for a lot of money in the marketplaces. It has a reticulation, a little net-like pattern on the stem. The net-like pattern is lighter in color than the color of the stem, unlike some of the other ones. This is Boletus nobilis, the noble bolete. This is related to edulus. It has a very fine reticulation just at the very apex. All these boletes here are non-poisonous in the sense that they'll kill you. But some of them, this whole group with the red pores, and if you cut them they stain bright blue. We don't eat this group. This is the Boletus subvolutipes group. And so we want to cut anything, any bolete that you collect and see if the flesh stains blue, because that's a good clue to its identity. Boletus subvolutipes is not well defined. If you look on the table, you'll see a whole bunch of Boletus with orange pores and different colored caps, like this one is olive green. These are almost red velvet, like an Elvis painting at a flea market color. How was that for a description? But we call them all subvolutipes because this is not really clearly defined. Some of these, like that one right there, it would be very easy to call that mushroom right there Boletus luridiformis. And I took a bunch home and I did all the chemical tests on those, and the chemical tests say that that mushroom is subvolutipes, but the written description says it's luridiformis. So sometimes you just have to throw your hands up and say, that's a red pored bolete, I'm not going to eat it. Somebody else will figure out what the right name for it is. I'm not going to talk forever about boletes, although I could. Take my word for it. I could talk for hours and hours, but I want you to get a sense of the whole collection, not just the boletes. There's some beautiful things here, things that I have never seen before in my life. on the other table, Janet and Jean were working on boletes that I don't know what they are, and I've been studying them for 20 years, and I've identified 105 now from Connecticut. And there's at least 3 here today. I don't know what they are. So that makes me excited. That makes me want to talk about it. That makes me want to keep learning and learning and learning. But you want to learn about all the mushrooms, not just the boletes. This is the peak time for boletes. We won't see this many boletes again. We'll see this many boletes for maybe the next 10 days, and then I doubt we'll see this many again until next year, right, Michael, Mama? So I'm gonna ask, yeah, look at these beauties.
They're with
This
the
is-
carts here.
This is, I don't know what this is. This could be Talopolis vileotinctus, which is a look-alike for Plumbo
It looks
violaceus.
more like it.
But look, purple cap, reddish brown colored cap. So there's lots and lots of lookalikes with this whole group. You have to have the big bolete book. Jean, can you hold up the big bolete book?
This one has a
You have to have that
That's
book
the
to
adult.
identify boletes. And this is Tylopolis rubrobrunius. I can tell it's turning dirty brown on the stipe already, olivey brown. And believe it or not, I know you're doubting me, it's okay, please do doubt me. I believe these are the same. Take a look at my face if you dare to, and then, and then imagine what I looked like in my high school yearbook. When you see pictures in a field guide, what you're seeing is a picture of that mushroom on high school graduation night. When we find these things in the field, you're finding old man faces like my old man face. They don't look like they're supposed to look in the
Oh,
book.
it's a cute.
Or you're finding a little baby. And there's no pictures of baby mushrooms in field guides. So keep that in mind. Do not argue with anybody about the color. The color of mushrooms is just a ridiculous, confusing, dead-end road. They change. This mushroom right here, Boletus oripes, it could have started out brown, golden, olive colored. This mushroom right here, Boletus bicolor, which is red and yellow, red on the cap, red on the stem, yellow on the stalk and the flesh. If it rains on this and it's sunny, if this fruited on the edge over there, this will turn yellow. The cap will be completely yellow. You look at it and you'll say, oh, I discovered a new mushroom. It looks like bicolor, but the cap, it's not. It's just old, like me. My hair wasn't always this color. My hair used to be brown. But if you looked at my high school yearbook, you'd say, oh, that's not Bill Yule. Look, it's got gray hair. It can't be Bill Yule. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to ask Terry if she'll talk about the mushrooms in front of her.
Before you do that, will
Yeah.
you
Oh, I
hold
can't
up
talk about the ones in front of you, huh?
You can talk about anything you want, Michael Mama. You're in charge.
Will you hold up again the ones that you said were particularly yummy?
In the
Okay.
end, it's not going to make a difference.
All right. So this group, which is Boletus nobilis, is related to Boletus edulis. This one is one of many versions of Boletus edulis. These Xanthoconium separans. Look at the here's a good look. This mushroom, same mushroom. You believe me? This mushroom, same mushroom. They change over time. This mushroom, same mushroom. They change. They're changelings. They're boletes. The colors are soluble in water. So that's a great edible. These are great edibles. If you're careful of your identification, Boletus bicolor is a good edible. I dry those. You have to learn them one at a time.
This is not edible.
So there's going to be a test next Sunday, and you won't remember one damn one of them, I bet.
I've eaten the bicolor.
So look, I just want to say something quickly. Terry is our best identifier. She knows more of all the mushrooms we collect than anybody. And so when you have a question about a weird mushroom, you go to her first.
You're also a cute liar.